How's it going, folks? Stu here. Oh, same jumper as yesterday's review. What's going on, Stu? It's almost as if you're shooting an outrageous amount of reviews back to back in the small space between an outrageous amount of films you've been watching over the last 2 weeks at the film festival. Yeah, it is almost. It is. I'm sweating. You know how in my Spencer review, which I just put out, if you haven't seen it, go watch it. Cheeky little bit. You know how in that I said that for a brief 12 hours, that was my favourite film of the year, and then something else came along and overtook it? Well, it was Red Rocket. It was Red Rocket. No suspense at all. Gone with it. It was Red Rocket is the best film of the year. Please stick around to see why. Don't just go. So Sean Baker is a filmmaker I absolutely adore. His last film, Florida Project, was just absolutely sublime, and he hasn't missed any of the films he's done. Before that, he did Tangerine. So I was incredibly excited to see whatever he would do with his next project, which ended up being Red Rocket, the story of a porn star who returns back to Texas to try and sort his life out, and in doing so, doesn't really sort his life out at all. It's a comedy. It stars none other than Simon Rex, aka Dirt Nasty, and this thing rips so hard we gonna need more paper. Where to start with Red Rocket? Many avenues we could take here. Simon Rex stars in the film as Mikey Saber, the porn star in question, and Simon Rex is so good in this film, it was honestly kind of astonishing. I mean, every scene, this dude absolutely crushes it. I love Simon Rex in Red Rocket, and I've always been a big fan of Simon Rex ever since he was in the Scary Movie films, which, you know, love them or hate them, they're films. I have a very big soft spot for Scary Movie 3. I can still watch it and enjoy it, and I think he's great in that. But I also loved his musical turn as Dirt Nasty. If you haven't listened to Dirt Nasty, look it up on Spotify. Thank me later. Or you might not. I mean, it's not going to be for everyone. Am I kidding? But I'm so glad we're finally seeing him in a leading role in an indie film, being able to just do his thing, and I'm so glad everyone seems to be just fucking enjoying the shit out of it. Rightly so, because he's so charismatic and engaging and just crazy in this lead role as Mikey Saber. No doubt, I think he's bringing a lot of himself to the role. I mean, he has a past in the porn industry before acting and a musical career as well. So I'm sure he's bringing certain elements of that into the character. But it's just such a full-on performance. It's one of those roles which is never on any downtime. It's just immediately 0 to 100 and it doesn't stop. And that's part of the reason why this is just such a funny fucking film. I mean, I've always enjoyed the humor elements of Sean Baker's previous films, and they're in there, but this is much more of a full-on just fucking comedy film from Sean Baker, and in that sense it absolutely delivers. I know comedy's a very subjective thing, as is basically all of film, so maybe it's not gonna be for everyone, but there was not a beat in this film which didn't land comedically. I thought it was just fantastically well executed. The direction, the editing, which I believe Sean Baker also edits the film, and the writing, which Sean Baker also collaborates with Chris Burgock, who also wrote the Florida Project before this with him. Everything's just sort of non-stop, and it builds and builds and builds on this central character to create this incredibly chaotic and engaging character piece. And it is, at the end of the day, a character study. It's just a look at one guy's incredibly self-destructive, problematic lifestyle. And whilst it's very funny, it is also just an incredibly interesting character to watch on screen. And I was so impressed, perhaps not surprisingly, because I've loved all of Sean Baker's work before this, but I was nonetheless so impressed that it manages to do all of that, be a through and through comedy, be crazy, be over the top, be out there and wild and hilarious, but also maintain a genuine dramatic throughput. And I think it's down to Sean Baker's approach to characters and to humans, I guess, in general, in all of his films. He has such a good way of bringing these really complex people onto his screen. Complex people from a socioeconomic standpoint, but also from a moral standpoint. You know, they're doing things which obviously we don't agree with. They're not good people. But Baker never sort of makes that the point of the... It's never like he's an awful person. That's just an aspect of why it's such an interesting character from a writing standpoint. And it's always so interestingly woven together. So you get these really complex characters that feel layered, but also feel incredibly real, incredibly human. Like you understand why this person is the way they are. And that information is never given to you in an extremely overt way. They just sort of exist. And I really enjoyed that about Red Rocket, more so than perhaps most of Sean Baker's other films. Just watching this crazy character exist is enough for the film. And I think another part of that is the way Sean Baker places his characters, and Mikey as well here, in the context of the environment around them. It's something that struck me obviously a lot about Florida Project, which was set in, you guessed it, Florida, and that hotel life was such an integral part to understanding how these characters worked. And similarly here, we get constant glimpses of these factories, especially in the moments where he's cycling to and from different places in the film. There always is sort of looming presence. It's just another one of the many ways in which Baker really interestingly portrays where these people come from and their life around the decisions they're making. And it's also a gorgeous film to look at. I mean, Baker is an advocate of film, shooting on film. He always does, and his films always look all the better for it. This is no different. It's shot in beautiful 16mm film, and every frame just so good, just gorgeous. You can just feel everything in this film. And again, it really adds to this kind of, I guess, authentic way through this character's life. I've also got to give a special shout out to the soundtrack, which is, I think, basically just one song repeated, and it's NSYNC's Bye Bye Bye. Genius stroke. Never gonna hear that song the same way though, and if you've seen the film, you'll know why. I just loved it. I think I'm confident in saying that it's my favorite film of the year so far. I can't wait to rewatch it. I think this one's gonna have a lot of rewatchability. I had that with Florida Project. I mean, I saw that twice at the film festival when that was showing, and then I just couldn't stop watching it for a while afterwards. Methinks we might have another one of those cases on our hands here, but it's so good. Try and go see it in the cinema. There's some crazy shit that happens in this film, and a lot of it is incredibly funny and best experienced with a nice big crowd reacting to it. Sean Baker, man, the dude kills it. But what about you guys? Did you manage to catch Red Rocket at the film festival? Are you excited to check it out? Whatever you thought about it, let me know in the comments down below. We'll have a little chat. And while you're down there, why not hit subscribe so you don't miss any of the new reviews that will be dropping from the film festival over the next week or so. There's going to be a butt ton. So yeah, don't miss them. Click subscribe. Also, my social links are down there if you want to see any initial reactions to films I'm seeing as I post them live on Twitter, Instagram, or Letterboxd. All of those. Fun times. See you guys soon for some more thoughts on more films. But until next time, I'm going to go belt out NSYNC's Bye 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 at the top of my lungs until someone down the road shouts at me.